Praise be to Jesus. Today we are going to discuss the topic Mar Ivanios, the founder of Bethany. In this topic, we are mainly dealing with the three issues. One is the reasons to found Bethany or the monastic order in the Malankara Church. Secondly, the Indianization. Thirdly, Bethany spirituality. As you know, this is a very vast subject. I am not sure how far I can cover in depth this subject within the given time. Anyway, let us see. Mar Ivanios, in his autobiography, very clearly mentioned his longing for leading a monastic life. The very first sentence of his autobiography says that I have an attraction towards monastic life even from the very childhood. It is a very surprising statement because in those days in the Malankara Church there was no monastic life. But somehow God has put this ardent wish in his heart. So it shows that Mar Ivanios as a young boy had thus affinity towards religious life or monastic life. But it took a long time to things to take a shape, a definite shape in his life. It all started when he was the principal of MD Seminary High School in Kottayam. He was appointed the principal of MD Seminary High School in Kottayam just before his ordination as a priest. After 1 month of this appointment, he was ordained a priest. And he was the one who got his MA among the priests in Kerala for the first time, and therefore he was called fondly by the people M.A. Achan. So M.A. Achan, or Father P.T. Givargis, that was his former name before he became a bishop. Father P.T. Givargis was well known among the people in Kottayam. It was in 1913 an event took place in India. One Protestant missionary, his name was Dr. R. Mott, came over to India to organize a conference for the Christian young people. He planned to organize this conference in Sarambur in West Bengal. An invitation for the young people was received in the Malankara Church as well. So this was for the first time such a conference was organized for the young Christian people and nationwide. So a strong contingent of 50 young people were ready to go to Sarambur. And this group was led by the guru and mentor of Archbishop Mar Ivanios, who was Vattacheril Mar Divanasios. And Bishop Vattacheril Mar Divanasios wanted to take Father P.T. Givargis along with him. The reason is that they wanted a translator who could speak English and Malayalam very well, because the conference was going to be conducted in English and the people from Kerala, all of them, could not speak English very well. So Father P.T. Givargis got the chance to go to Sarambur as a translator of the whole group, especially of Vattacheril Mar Divanasios. Why Sarambur? Sarambur is a small town, half an hour journey from Calcutta towards north. It was on the banks of River Ganges. In that area, River Ganges is known as Hooghly, River Hooghly. This banks of Hooghly was well known for its cultivation for jute. Jute is actually a very good packing material in those days. And so many companies, almost over 300 jute mills were operating in that area. And the people from Europe, East India Company and all, came to Sarambur just to export this jute, which is the packing material, to Europe. And that area was flourishing, and after a few years, missionaries from Europe landed there. They converted many people into Christianity. They started many churches. The remains of those churches can be seen even today. When I was in Calcutta as a missionary, I used to go to Sarambur doing some research of our Christian presence there, especially of Mar Ivanios as a priest who spent almost 7 years there. So Sarambur, the missionaries founded the first Christian university in India, that is today known as Sarambur College. In this college there are so many faculties. Religion is one of the faculties. All other secular subjects also were taught even from that day. When Mar Ivanios spoke on the stage on different issues, his proficiency in English was noted by the people who were present there. One among them was Dr. Howells. Dr. Howells was fascinated by this young priest. He wanted Father P.T. Givaris to be in his staff in Sarambur College. So after the conference, Dr. Howells approached Mar Ivanios or Father P.T. Givaris and asked him, "Would you please join the faculty of Sarambur College?" It was a good offer, but at the same time, Mar Ivanios could not take a decision for himself, because he was the principal of a school in MD Seminary High School, which was a prestigious school of Malangara Orthodox Church. And it was financially struggling, and a good leadership is needed for that. And another thing, a big litigation was going on, which is known as Vattipanam case in the court, and he was helping the bishops of Malangara Orthodox Church and giving them good advice to proceed with the case. So he could not leave Kerala. Then he said, out of politeness, I cannot take a decision by myself. Whether you approach my mentor and guru, Vattacheril Mar Divanasius. So therefore, Dr. Howells approached Bishop Vattacheril Mar Divanasius. Then Vattacheril Mar Divanasius was also reluctant to send Father P.T. Givargis to that university. Then the next step of persuasion came. They offered a very big salary, that is 1,000 rupees per month. That was in 1913, you must imagine that. And added to that, if he is ready to evaluate answer sheets, he will get another 500 rupees. That means per month 1,500 rupees. Those days in Kerala, one teacher draws the salary of just 4 rupees. MD Seminary High School was even struggling to give that 4 rupees to every month to all its teachers. And it has a very big debt also. Then they found that it is an easy solution to get rid of this debt, and it will improve the fate of MD Seminary High School. And they have accepted this offer, and Vattacheril Mar Divanasius was ready to send Father P.T. Givargis to Sarambur College. That is how Father Mar Ivanios has gone to Sarambur. Once he reached there, because he was an able person, and he became a leading professor in Sarambur. That was the very first time he got a chance, or put it more precisely, God has given him a chance to look at his church from outside, from a distance. For instance, if I want to get the beauty of this church, if I want to get a complete picture of this house or the building, I have to get a view from outside also, not only from inside. I have to get outside this building, I have to go to a distance, from there I have to watch this building, then only I can get a complete picture of this building. That was what happened in the life of Mar Ivanios. He went to a distance to North India, and from that context he started observing his church. Then he found that from Europe, thousands of miles away, from there the missionaries came to India and started preaching gospel. But we, the St. Thomas Christians, who got the light of the gospel in the very first century, in AD 52 from St. Thomas the Apostle, were not at all doing our duty, which is God-given. Because when Jesus founded his church, he asked his disciples to go to the 4 corners of the earth and preach his good news. But we have forgotten we neglected that God-given duty. Therefore, Marivanios believed that this is a very big failure, very big mistake we have committed in the past. That is why he thought the Malankara Orthodox Church lost its spiritual flavor, the spiritual fire in it, and therefore it was busy with the internal fights and litigations, and it lost the spiritual life completely. Then he thought that we have to do something to recapture the vigor, to recapture the spiritual energy, to rejuvenate his own mother church. First, he thought that almost all the people and the clergy were not good educated. Therefore, he wanted to give good education to the young people and the clergy. That was his first project, education. Therefore, he brought many young people to Sarambur and started giving them good education. So the number went up even to 50, and out of this 50, later, there were 6 bishops and 13 priests who became the pillars of the Malankara Orthodox Church. And this program was going on not only in Sarambur University, but he sent young people to Calcutta University, Yadavapur University, Allahabad University, Madras University, and this became a very big project, giving education to the young people. Even girls were sent to Barisal and they were given education. This Barisal nowadays, that today it is in Bangladesh. So this big project gave its own result, and the clergy could be claimed certain credibility as educated people. But the problems in Malankara Church was not resolved. Again, in the litigations and internal fights and divisions. Then he thought, what should I do next? Then he thought that is not enough. The giving education for the young people is not enough. Therefore, he wanted to start a missionary society who are ready to go to the other parts of India and preach the Gospels. So he wanted to start a missionary society. Now he was praying over the subject, and he found that if you want to preach Gospel, that is a basic duty of a missionary. He has to give Jesus. If you want to give something to others, what you must have? The first step, you must have Jesus. Therefore, the very famous dictum of Marivanios came. Having Jesus or having God is better than serving God. First of all, you must have, then only you can give. Then that was the third stage in his thinking. If you want to have Jesus, what you have to do? Then he found that monastic life is the best way to earn Jesus or God in one's own life. Through prayers, meditation, and austere life, one must be in touch with God. One must have the possession of God. Therefore, he wanted to start a sannyasa life or monastic life in Malankara Church. He started on experiment basis in 1917 onwards, or even from 15 onwards, in Sarambur. They started in a small chapel on experiment basis, and later he rented a house outside on the banks of Ganges, and he started this experimental basis, this monastic life there. And in 1919, he came back to Kerala and started this monastic life or sannyasa very officially in a place called Mundanmala near Perunadu. Today it is in the district of Pathanamthitta. And recently we have celebrated 100th year, centenary of the founding of Bethany Ashram. And later in 1925, he started Bethany Madham for women in the Malankara Church, those who are willing to lead a monastic life. Therefore, 2 monasteries or 2 sannyasa lives he started in Malankara Church. One is Bethany Ashram, the second is Bethany Madam. So that is how the monastic life was founded in the Malankara church. The initial works of the sannyasis or the monastic people or the monks in Malankara church to rejuvenate the Malankara church with a spiritual motive. Therefore, he established Bethany Pallis or Bethany churches. These Bethany churches or the members of the Bethany churches were not allowed to get involved in the litigations or the fights or divisions which was going on in the Malankara church. The main concern of the members of the Bethany Pallis were spiritual life, a spiritually oriented life. So that is how the whole thing started in the Malankara church, and it rejuvenated the Malankara church. For example, during the Lent season, people used to go to Mundanmala, where the first Bethany Ashram situates, and they spend the whole Holy Week there in praying, fasting, meditating, and listening to the speeches of Mar Ivanios. So that sent a wave of spiritual renewal across the Malankara church. So this is how Mar Ivanios founded Bethany Ashram and Bethany Madam, which considered as a very big milestone in the path of the spiritual journey of Malankara church. Secondly, another important point, Indianization. As you know, the Orthodox Church is very cultic, very orthodox, very conventional and very traditional, who are proud of their heritage, proud of their traditions, and especially they were proud of the Syrian traditions. But in 1925, when Mar Ivanios was ordained as a bishop, he made a very important historical speech which lasted for 2.5 hours. In that speech, he put forward one of his main ideas very officially. He said that our church, even today after its inscription, remaining as something foreign, a foreign element in our land. Therefore, we have to Indianize it. But the people in those days, they may not understood what he said really meant. He already started this movement in the Bethany Ashram. When he wanted to found a Bethany Ashram as a monastic life, he consulted many people. One of them was Rabindranath Tagore. You know the poet Rabindranath Tagore, who won the Nobel Prize and who wrote our national anthem. He was in West Bengal. Another important figure was our Rashtrapita, father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi. He consulted these two eminent personalities, and both of them advised him about this. Therefore, because of their advice, he took the word ashram along with Bethany, which is from the Bible, and ashram is from India. He combined these two concepts together, Bethany Ashram. Bethany is biblical, ashram is Indian. And he took this kavi color or saffron color as the official dress of his monks, just to show that it is from the Indian spirituality. Why should we need it? You just look at the incarnation of Christ. God became man. That is how we celebrate Christmas. God became man. God is with us. When God became man, he became just like one among us. That is what even St. Paul explains in his letter to Philippians, chapter 2, verse 5 onwards. He said that he did not consider his Godhead as something to be safeguarded. He abandoned it. He became one among us. He became obedient, and he even accepted a death on the cross, a death which is cursed. So he identified with the whole humanity. He suffered with them, and he became one among us. So this is known as Christ event. God became man. That is Christ event. That is the spirit of Christianity. Therefore, wherever Christianity has gone, it identified with the local culture, with the local language, with the local traditions, and Christ is even today becoming one with others. For instance, when it has gone to Rome, Roman church came. When it has gone to Greek, Greek church came. When he has gone to Russia, Russian church. In Philippines, Philippine church. Or in Romanian church. In Alexandria, Alexandrian church. In Ethiopia, Ethiopian church. But here there is a historical mistake happened. When it came to India, what it has become? Antiochian church, Chaldean church. So, Marivanus said, this is not right. In 1925, he said, if we continue in that line, our brothers and sisters here in India, the non-Christians will say, you are foreigners. We have to identify ourselves with India. We have to adapt its culture, language, habits, and whatever is not against the Christian faith and theology, we have to adapt it. We have to become one with this nation. We have to be proud of being Indian. We should not be proud about a foreign element, but of an Indian element. So that is a new way of thinking. Actually, it is a very authentic thinking, and that is in accordance with the Catholic faith, and Second Vatican Council also advocates us to do it positively. Even before Second Vatican Council, Marivanus has seen the relevance of such position, and he has taken such steps, and therefore Indianization, it is known as Indianization or inculturation, become one with the culture, become one with the traditions of a nation where Christianity exists. That is the methodology he adopted in founding Bethany Ashram. So in Bethany Ashram, the dress is just like a Hindu monk or an Indian monk, and the life is very simple, and the food is vegetarian, and all those traditional aspects which are not against Christianity were adopted as values of Bethany Ashram. The third element is Bethany spirituality. Bethany has its own spirituality. But Bethany spirituality is not a single spirituality. It is a blend of three different lines of spirituality. One is the Eastern Syrian spirituality. Eastern Syrian church has a monastic spirit and tradition. He took all those good elements from the Eastern Syrian churches. The second thing is Indian sannyasa or Indian monastic life of Indian tradition. All the good values of Indian sannyasa was taken. The third element is actually from the Western world or Western Catholic Church. For example, Francis of Assisi, Little Teresa of Lisieux, Mother Teresa of Avila, John of the Cross, Alphonse Liguori, Ignatius Loyola, all these saints actually inspired Marivanus, and he took their values also in Bethany Ashram. And there is one more element, Bible from Bethany. So when we combine all these together, you get Bethany Ashram spirituality. But you can speak of a Bethanian spirituality also from Bible, because in Bethany we see three people, Martha, Maria, and Lazarus. Martha received Jesus in her house. He was a good host, and she was ready to prepare food for Jesus, and she was ready to serve Jesus. So she was a figure of hospitality and Indian virtue. Aditi Devo Bhava. A guest is like God. That is actually an Indian value, but well reflected in the life of Martha. So Christian life or monastic life is a life of service. The second person is Maria or Mary of Bethany. She is at the feet of Jesus, always listening and meditating on what Jesus said. The words of Jesus was her passion. She was sitting at the feet of Jesus. An Indian mind or spirituality is reflected there as well, because the reflections on Vedas of scriptures, they are known as Upanishads. Upanishad, that means by the side of Guru. Sit by the side of Guru. sit at the feet of Guru. That is what precisely Mary was doing. The third person is Lazarus, who was resuscitated from the dead by Jesus. So he was giving us hope, and he was showing that there is a life after death. He was anticipating the resurrection of Jesus, witnessing Christ. So the first one is the symbol of service. The second one is actually the symbol of meditation and prayer. The third one, Lazarus, is the symbol of Jesus' resurrection, or he was witnessing Jesus. So all these three elements are there. Moreover, the Indian value of mauna, or silence, was reflected in the life of Lazarus, because he never uttered a word in the Bible. He was simply witnessing Jesus. His maunam, or his silence, was the most strong communication we ever found in Bible. Without uttering a word, with his life, he was witnessing Jesus. So all these elements are combined in Bethany spirituality today. So Bethany spirituality, or Bethany ashram, which was founded by Mar Ivanios, is actually a very unique tradition established in Malankara Church. And Bethany became the cradle of reunion movement. So when Mar Ivanios done his meditation and prayer in Bethany ashram, he was always concerned about the church. Then finally he found that reunion, or reunited with the global church, be reunited. That is the only solution which can save our church from all the problems it was facing. And in 1930, along with all these monks from Bethany ashram, he left Mundanmala and joined the global church, which is Catholic Church. So the Punaraikyam, or the reunion movement, was the ultimate result happened in our church just because of this monastic life or founding of Bethany ashram. That is what we see in the history. So this is in a nutshell the founding of Bethany ashram in Malankara Church by Mar Ivanios. Thank you so much.